Okay. All right, let's get started. Warminster Township Board of Supervisors meeting for Thursday, September 8th, 2022. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all our servicemen and civilians serving overseas. Thank you very much. All right, as usual, first announcement is we had executive session tonight to go over personnel issues, litigation, and what was the third?
Real estate.
Real estate, yes. Thank you. I hope everyone had a nice Labor Day, and that's about all I have to say, and I'll pass it on to Kathy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have one announcement tonight. Ershkeberg is having their Oktoberfest on Davisville Road, and it's a great family night. It starts at 10 o'clock. There's going to be some German bands there. They're going to crack open the barrel with some of the German beer. Lots of music, dancing, good food, good times. So Saturday on the 10th from 11 a.m. till like 10 p.m. you'll have great entertainment. So please join Ershkeberg with their Oktoberfest. It's a great time. That's it, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Kathy. And Mr. McKee?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a few announcements from Park and Rec. Discount amusement park tickets and Regal movie tickets are available at Park and Rec. Check the website for venue and availability. Park board meetings have changed to the first Tuesday of each odd-numbered month, beginning next meeting scheduled for Tuesday, November 1st at 6:30 p.m. at the Rec located in Warminster Community Park. And they are public meetings, and we do get some people from the public out if you have any concerns or want to learn a little more about what's going on in our parks. The meetings are really good to attend. This is an important one too. Park and Recreation is currently accepting golfer and sponsorship registration for 2022 Parks and Recreation Golf Scramble, scheduled for October 10th at 5 Pods Golf Club. Visit Warminster Township to have special events to sign up. And we're still looking for some more players and some more sponsors. Scott, I believe you're already in.
Yeah, we're already in. We're
Right.
the master sponsor.
Right.
Or,
And so is Gilmore. I was told last night.
So are there lessons provided ahead of time for those that don't golf?
Where's Dalton? He can answer that.
Yeah, with Dalton.
And this is another important one that the hours have changed. The Rec at Warminster Community Park is now open Tuesdays from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., Thursdays and Fridays from 1 to 4:15 p.m. The Park and Recreation Department can be reached in person at the Township Administrative Building, which is this building right here, 401 Gibson Avenue for during normal hours of operation. So people are going to be at that building over there. I know there was concern, oh God, nobody's going to be here. People are going to be there at certain times. But for the most part, any business you'd like to do with Park and Rec should be done in this building. Congratulations to the Warminster Soccer Club on another great Perlini tournament last weekend, and it was very, very well attended. And
Yes, it was.
and to coach and volunteer Brian Dayton, a well-deserved recipient of the 2022 Al Perlini Award. So congratulations. Maybe we'll get him in here at a future meeting.
Yeah.
But this year I noticed was back up to where it was before the pandemic. Finally, Perlini's back. There's some upcoming events. I'll go through them real quick. The Bar Car Show, 9/17, the Bar Car Show on the runway. 9/18, the SCCA rally on the runway at Warminster Community Park. 9/23 is the Park and Rec outdoor movie night at the Hallowell Pavilion. Rain date is on the 24th. So, and it's sponsored by that barbecue company that's going to sponsor it. And they're going to have barbecue stuff available. This is our first run at this, and hopefully it'll go. And I heard I was told that the Warminster Symphony event was tremendous. I think Jess told me there was 200 people there for our first time out. Tremendous.
That was a wonderful.
And I did hear from the maestro. He said everything went really good on his end. So hopefully we'll be able to do that annually going forward.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's a real nice event for the residents and free. You know what? Doesn't say. I would imagine 7 p. I'll have to update you on that one.
Yeah, we'll make sure we get that out on the website.
Yeah.
What's the date of the movie night again, Mark?
Movie night is the 23rd.
23rd.
Rain date 24th.
Okay.
The 24th is also the Sarcoma Foundation 5K on the runway. October, Gilda's Paws for Life fundraiser in the Hallowell Pavilion. October 2nd, SCCA rally on the runway. October 8th, SCCA rally on the runway. The 9th, October 9th, Warminster Soccer Club 3v3 tournament. October 10th, the Park and Rec Golf Scramble at 5 Ponds. October 15th is the Craven Hall 5K. I just heard from Eric about that today. That's at Warminster Community Park. They're still looking for sponsors and participants. October the 22nd is a big one as well. Park and Rec Touch a Truck on the runway at Community Park is always a huge hit. That's October the 22nd on the runway at the Community Park. That's all I have for Park and Rec, and I just had one more announcement. November 4th at the Fuge is the Dueling Piano event. It's an annual event that supports the Centennial Education Foundation. And it is Friday night, November 4th. It's $45 per person. Dinner's provided, and it's a cash bar. I hear they sell it out every year. I haven't been there yet. I'm going to try and get there this year, but it's a good fundraiser for the Education Foundation.
Nice.
That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
You're welcome. Okay, Judy.
Just a little bit. I hope everybody had a nice Labor Day holiday, but this month, September, is National Library Month, and there's several activities going on at the Warminster Library. Just go into the website and you'll find all kinds of activities that are special for Library Month. And also, we had a sellout for, on the 15th, the Ben Wilson Center is having that handbag bingo, designer handbag bingo, and it's all sold out. Too late to get tickets, but that's happening this Friday. And then the next big event for them is on November 4th. November 5th, they're having their Kris Kringle pop-up market. So we should have be able to raise funds for the Ben Wilson Center there at the Kris Kringle pop-up market. That's all.
Hey, thanks, Judy. Janice?
I'm just excited to see all the kids back in school, and everybody's doing well, and everybody seems to be getting along really well, so that's great. They're coming home happy off the school bus, and that's good to see.
Speaking of school buses, make sure everybody obeys the traffic laws about stopping for school
Exactly.
buses.
Come to
Yes.
complete stop and make sure the little kids, especially the little kindergartners.
Thank you. All right.
Mr. Chair, just
Yes.
before we continue, just one adjustment to the agenda that I
Okay.
can announce to you. We have one item being removed from the agenda tonight. It's item 3C, the appeal of Glenn's Towing Duty Tow License Suspension. This matter has been resolved, and the license suspension is coming to an end and will be returned.
Okay, thank you, Scott.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. Have a nice night.
Do the same. All right, so we have some presentations tonight. I'd like to invite Lynn Kirkner up. Lynn's a volunteer firefighter at the Hartsville Station, Hartsville Fire Company, and she's been, 40 years? 40 years. 40 years in service. Wonderful. Come on up, Lynn. Yeah, we made sure that it was tough to get there. We wanted to make sure you could still, Yes.
You did well. You did well.
And you pass with flying colors, too. Now, me, not so much. Okay, so, we have a proclamation here for Lynn, for her years of service. This is great. It's wonderful to have a woman as a volunteer firefighter, and we're hoping that this brings more women out to volunteer. I know we were talking earlier, and I mentioned that in Deptford Township, there's a whole fire station that's manned by women every day. And this is wonderful. This is a great thing, and thank you for your service. I just want to read this proclamation, if I may. All right. Whereas, we, the Board of Supervisors of Warminster Township, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, are pleased to recognize Lynn Kirkner for more than 40 years of continuous service as a volunteer firefighter at the Hartsville Fire Company. And whereas Lynn Kirkner joined the Hartsville Fire Company in 1982, Ms. Kirkner has held the ranks of firefighter, engineer, lieutenant, and captain over her career. Ms. Kirkner has been responsible for the maintenance and readiness of fire apparatus and equipment, supervised the fire company driver training program, and managed community-wide fire prevention programs. Excuse me. And whereas Ms. Kirkner continues to volunteer her time and energy to this day by participating in fire company training, mentoring new firefighters, and responding to our community's emergencies. And now, therefore be it resolved, on this 8th day of September 2022, we, the Warminster Township Board of Supervisors, and the entire Warminster community recognize, honor, and thank Lynn Kirkner for her leadership, valor, and commitment over her 40 years of service as a Hartsville firefighter, protecting and serving the Warminster community. Congratulations. Are you sure? Yeah. All right, that's wonderful. Let's have a
Thank you, Liz.
All right, congratulations again, Lynn. Wonderful career. All right, we also have tonight, going to discuss a program at the Clerk of Courts in Bucks County. We have the Bucks County Clerk of Courts, Brian Monroe. Come on up, Brian.
Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys, very much. I really I know, listen, the number one question everyone's been,
His name and address?
yeah, name and address. Yeah, Brian Monroe, Warminster. Remember it? No, what happened to me after I left the Board of Supervisors? That's what everyone's been trying to figure out, right? So, just to remind everybody, I got elected up to the Clerk of Courts at the tail end of 2019. So when you get elected up to a county row office position, legally you're not allowed to do both. I would have loved to have stayed with you guys, but unfortunately I was told I wasn't allowed to. So I went up to Doylestown, and that's what I've been doing ever since. So one of the first things, other than having the criminal justice system get shut down for the first time in 200 and God knows how many years because of COVID. One of the things that I did as the Clerk of Courts, because one of my responsibilities is all criminal documents, but on top of the criminal documents, it's also collections of court costs. So that's money that's owed by offenders. So when you think of an offender, goes through the court system, the judge oftentimes sets court costs. They'll say you owe $5,000 or whatnot. And there's also victims restitution. So victims sometimes are defrauded of a significant amount of money, and that is then assessed to them, and it is the Clerk of Court's responsibility to collect those funds and make sure that they get to, again, back to the county and to the state, and also to victims if it's victims restitution. So, so one of the first things I discovered when I got elected was there was a lot of money that had gone uncollected over the last 30 years. So I know several of you already know the answer to this, so I'm not going to pose the question. But I used the way I pitched this program to the county commissioners was I had them guess. So everybody at home, where's the cameras? Everybody at home, 30 years of victims restitution and court costs. Think about how much money you think had gone uncollected over the last several decades. So the county commissioners, they guessed 5 million, 10 million, something like that. It was about $230 million had gone uncollected. $230 million. So a lot of that is not collectible. Not a lot of it, I should say. A portion of it's not collectible because if you're serving a life term in prison, you can't collect money from an offender while they're in prison. If obviously after 30 years, a certain amount of people have passed away, you're not going to be able to collect, the money from them. So, so what I did was I approached the county commissioners and I said, listen, I need some additional staffing. I brought a first deputy over from Montgomery County who started a program similar to this, first in the state of Pennsylvania, but he did it on a small scale, and I said I really wanted to go big with this. And they asked all the right questions. We hired a couple of staff members to run the program, and basically what we do now is, and I know is the video not working? It comes and goes. If not, it's okay. So I can just talk through it. So if you can go to the next slide for me. So this just gives you a basic breakdown as to what we start doing. So what we started doing is we went back to 1990. So think about that if you were a victim 30 years ago, not 32 years ago, you've given up on that money, right? And offenders oftentimes think to themselves, you know what, they're never going to come knocking on my door for the money. Well, they were wrong. We reminded them. But this is not a harsh program. What we want to do is we want these individuals to be able to afford and to pay the money they can pay. So that's one of the cornerstones of the program is what made them go into the rears initially is because they couldn't afford it. You know, if you have a $100 per month payment plan and you don't have the money to pay that, essentially you're not going to pay it. So what we do is we go back to them, and first of all, after 30 years, a lot of these people are like, how much do I owe? $3,000, and they just write the check. That's number one. Number two, we offer to take them out of collections because that's where these accounts have been sitting. They've been sitting in collections, just collecting dust, and we pull them out of it, and that their 25% fee that the collections agency assesses, we remove as an incentive, and then we say, how much can you afford? So if they can afford $50 a month, we'll take $50 a month. $20 a month, we'll take $20 a month. And then it starts to build. So we started in 1990, 1991, and we're now up to 1993 or 1994. Actually, you can see currently working on 1994. The 2004 jump is we started both 30 years ago and 15 years ago. It's just a data assessment to make sure we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Just to check our numbers. You can go to the next slide, please. So that shows you what we've brought in basically per quarter. That's by quarter, I believe. Because if you start off at zero, which we did, and you start 10 people on payment plans, in the next month, that's your basement, right? You're not starting at zero. Now you're starting at 10 payment plans, and then you're working up from there. So you can see the trends go upward. So the length of time it took us to go to the first $100,000 shrinks, during every cycle. Next slide, please. And that is why I'm here today, because we've hit the $1 million mark. That's $1 million that had gone uncollected, that's owed, again, to victims and the taxpayers of this county. And there was no reason for it to be sitting there. It just required somebody to kind of like ask questions. You know, you get into a department, you ask everyone in your department, why do you do things the way you do? You know, oftentimes it's because we've always done it that way. So this was, and by the way, again, this is the only county in all of Pennsylvania that's currently running a program like this.
Wow.
So $1 million, it took us just a little under 2 years to get to that. The idea is by the time we get to the second million, it'll take probably about 1.5 years, and so on and so forth. So I can tell you the county commissioners, and I got to give a shout out to all 3 county commissioners, and Diane Marseglia, Bob Harvey, and Jean DiGirolamo. They were all very supportive. Part of the program is tweaked on their questions and their desires that they wanted. There was a sense by some of the commissioners too that they didn't want us to pull someone out of the criminal justice system that started getting on their feet and then, slapping them back down, by taking the money out of their pockets. So, next slide. And I think this is the last slide. So that's just a summation. It shows you $500,000 generated in the first 393 days. It shrunk. We had a little bit of a delay, obviously. Again, COVID was in there, and then we had a change of staff. My 2 people that started this, I do want to give 2 shout-outs. It was Deanna Watson, was one of the county employees that really ran this program up until about $988,000 that we had collected. And then she took another job opportunity, and then we brought in Deb Dole, who is now with the county. So then we hit the $1 million mark, so we give her all the credit.
Right.
So that's pretty much it. I think it was a little over 5 minutes, but any questions?
I have a comment.
Please.
When I first saw the story about this, I was really impressed, first of all, by your ingenuity to come up with a plan like this, where you are compassionate for the people that have committed these crimes and want to fulfill their obligation, but you said like they're tied up with all these fees and everything. And then on top of it, the victims are getting the money that they deserve, so deservedly have. And to bring in $1 million, kudos to you and your team, Brian. I think it's great. Thank you.
I will pass that along to them. I mean,
Yeah, it's a nice program. How much, I have a question, how much of, I guess, or what percent do you think went to the victims out of that $1
so
million?
less than 30%. So that's mostly court costs.
Okay.
That's assigned, because you think pretty much, you know, every offense that people are arrested for, they don't always have a monetary victim involved in it.
Right.
But there's court costs are usually assigned on most court cases. So,
Right. So we're recovering our court costs? at the
yes,
county.
and then 50% of the court costs that come in, half of that goes to the county, and then half of that goes to the state. The state always has to take their chunk.
Have to pay the king.
So, Brian,
That's
after this is paid, like, does anybody actually pay off their debt?
Yes, they have been.
And is that expunged then for them, so that they have a clean record?
No. So,
No?
yeah, that is a different process. So, yeah, this is, this is part of the punishment set
Right.
by the court system. So it's just, like I said, nobody has really followed up with them to make sure that they were supposed to do.
Okay.
Some of them do lose their driver's license. So that's something that is also, the offenders are helped with, because if they lost their driver's license, if some of these court costs are assigned as a result of vehicle code violations, those are the only ones that lose their driver's license, not the criminal side of things. Yeah, I mean, look, when you get, and all five of you know this, right? Like, when you get elected to public office, you don't want to do, the rubber stamp and do exactly what everybody has done before you. You try to think outside of the box, and again, I got to give a lot of credit to my first deputy, because he's been also crucial in this as well.
So are you going to propose this across the state in Pennsylvania? That would be a great idea.
Yeah, so there's a statewide, believe it or not, there's a Clerk of Courts and Pathonetaries Association. They have their meetings every year, so that is something that we do plan on doing. It's not really applicable in some of the smaller counties. You're not going to be able to, some of those smaller counties, you're not going to be able to hire a whole nother employee. And one of the first questions that the county commissioners all had, of course, is this going to pay for itself? So there's no county employees that I know that's making $1 million. So this is more than paying for itself. But the smaller the county goes, the less likely that they'd be able to bring on extra staff for it.
Right, good job.
So thank
Yeah,
you
very good,
Thanks,
Brian.
Brian.
Very
Good
good.
job.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm so happy to be back.
Yes.
We're happy to have you.
So
Nice to
thank
have
you
you
very
back.
much.
And I'm looking forward to an exciting fantasy football year as well.
Yes.
We had a real nice draft last week. I'd mentioned it to the board while we were having dinner earlier, that we had our fantasy draft, which Brian and I are involved in, and Jason Crowley, former supervisor, and Bob Welsh, who's on the zoning board, and Steve Wojciechowski. It's a very bipartisan fantasy football league.
Right.
But we have our draft at the golf course, and they couldn't do a better job for us there. We all had something to eat, and everything was really, really good. They really took care of us over there.
Great.
So
Yeah,
anyone else that
great.
wants to have their draft there, they'll be glad to have you.
Yeah, they do a great job
Yeah.
over there. It's fantastic.
And I think that fantasy football league is a perfect example of, in this climate, you don't have to hate each other, because
Exactly right. Yep.
So that's why we get together.
We were talking about Miss Frescator. She bailed after the first year.
That's because I was terrible at it. I like the camaraderie. It was just I was terrible at it.
Kathy, I told you, two things is don't take a kicker before the 7th round, I think I said, and
Still
do
too
not
early.
be a homer. What's that?
Still too early.
Yeah, I think it was later than that. I think it was like the 10th round. And I said, and don't be a homer, and don't take all Steelers. And you took a whole
I
bunch
did,
of
I
Steelers.
did, I did.
And we miss her. She was an easy win for all of us. When it popped up, I'm like, yeah, it's a W.
Thanks, guys.
All right,
Appreciate it.
Brian.
Thank you
you.
very much. No dice, huh, Tom? I think
looking for?
my binder.
Oh.
I left it back here somewhere. No, I'm all right.
You just handed it to me. I have mine
Yeah.
online. Here.
You have two?
No, I have mine up here.
Oh.
But he told me to grab that one that was sitting over there.
Oh, was that yours?
Oh,
Was that yours?
yeah, that
I
was
thought that
mine.
was yours.
Now, but Mr.
All right,
I
we
have it
found
on my
it.
tablet.
Thanks, Chief. We're all good.
There's none in the back.
No, this is it.
No, it's okay.
She grabbed it.
No, they told me we
Yeah,
were
yeah,
going
that's okay.
electronic, so I came
The iPad.
prepared.
All right, we have another guest tonight, Laura Hess from Conrad Siegel, and I believe you're going to go over some financial report, correct? And of course, the man with the key to the township is always here. Hi, Steve.
Yes. Hey, Steve.
Hi, Laura. How are you?
Hi, good, thank you. Yes, I am Laura Hess. I am here from Conrad Siegel's office in Harrisburg, and I am going to give a small presentation on funding your Opeb, other post-employment benefits plan, which is your retiree medical and life insurance benefits. And of course, I can take any questions from the group. But the primary focus of today's conversation is the benefit of funding. I know this group has recently made the decision to create an Opeb trust and fund those post-employment benefits. And I just wanted to illustrate, the impact of making that decision. As a reminder, Opeb benefits are not legally required to be funded. So there is incentive, though, to fund these benefits through a trust for accounting purposes for your statement, your annual financial statements. There are two impacts to funding an Opeb plan. The liability for the plan is the present value of the future benefits that are going to be paid from the plan. So they're discounted, those future benefits are discounted to the current date using an internal discount rate. And the higher the discount rate, the lower the current present value, and the lower the discount rate, the higher the liability, the current present value. The accounting rules state that if the plan is not funded, if there's no Opeb trust set up and there's no money there, then you have to use a municipal bond rate. And the last time we measured the Opeb liabilities for Warminster Township, the municipal bond rate was below 2%. So the liabilities are as high as we're ever going to see them. With the funding mechanism, when you fund through an Opeb trust, you can actually use the discount rate that is the expected rate of return on the assets in the trust, which I understand are around 6.9% for the Opeb trust that you have elected to go into with these assets. So the liability, if you were fully funded, which I know you're not, but if you go from the 2% interest rate to the almost 7% interest rate, your liability drops from $21 million to $13 million just by the math of using a higher interest rate versus the unfunded interest rate. I know you're not fully funded right now, you just started and are starting to make the contributions to the trust. But the accounting provisions allow for you to use a blended interest rate in that situation. So as you fund the trust, your interest rate starts to get higher and higher with the more money that you put into the trust. So it's going to be closer to the 2% than it is going to be to the 7% this next time we value the liabilities, because you're starting with, I think, $1.5 million is the target amount compared to the $20 million liability. So it's just 5% of the liability right now. So you're going to start seeing the interest rate go up and the corresponding liability come down just because of the math of using a different discount rate. And as you are able to make contributions to the fund every year, if you have money that you find or you make a dedicated decision to start funding it, each year you'll chip away at it a little bit more, get the higher interest rate, the lower liability. And then the second impact you get from creating the dedicated trust and funding it is that when you use look at your financial statements, you're actually looking at a net Opeb liability. So when you're not funding it, your net Opeb liability and your total liability are the same thing. You have zero assets. Now that you've started to fund it, you get to offset the dollar for dollar the amount of assets that are in the trust. So in addition to your liability starting to shrink, you're also taking off the assets. So you're seeing your net OPEB liability on your financial statements decrease due to the assets as well. So when you get to the situation where you're fully funded, you're using the 7%, 6.9%, your net OPEB liability on your books is actually going to be zero. And I know that's, you're working toward that, but that's the goal.
Absolutely.
Well, I know with the inception of this is all these years with our post-retirement health care benefit for our employees, we've just been paying as we go. And it's been growing and growing and growing, and this board has finally stepped up and done the right thing and created this fund to start bringing that back in line. But we know it's going to take several years, but this is a terrific first start.
Yeah. And the fact that we're going to continue to fund it.
Yes.
Right.
Is,
Yes.
we'll definitely, as Laura said, that we'll continue to lower that liability.
It's another thing that was throwing our annual budget out of whack because this number is growing. We only have so much room in our general fund, and as this is growing and pension liability is growing here, we ended up with a problem. But this is a tremendous step in the right direction.
Yep, I agree.
Any other questions or comments?
Comment, thanks for bringing a wheeze with you. I see Steve
Yeah.
Wiesner's here with you on the return trip.
Thank you.
Anytime I have to do a financial report, Steve, you're coming with me. It seems to,
Moral support. You're not billing us,
I have
right?
one
You're
coming
not
up,
billing us for
as a
being here,
matter
right?
of fact. January, I have one coming up. Okay,
May I?
certainly.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board, just to clarify for those that are listening and watching, OPEB stands for Other Post-Employment Benefits. It's not pension. These are the commitments to the employees through the labor agreements that guarantee them medical insurance after they retire. So the money that the township spends each year to pay for the medical plans of the retired employees, be they public works, police, or administrative, is a annual expense. In addition to paying for the employees, we pay for the retirees. And the OPEB, the understanding of the OPEB is trying to understand how much we still have to pay before we pay off every dollar that we think we're going to have to spend, based on the actuarial information that Laura's firm goes through. So we're still paying the bills, the premiums every month. For a lot of them, we're still paying the co-pays and the deductibles every month. So any savings we can get through the establishment of the trust, which is, the board's out on the cutting edge of that, and also if we can get changes to the agreements that drive the benefit plans, we will also see a savings and hopefully a positive impact on helping to bring down that liability number. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Laura.
So Laura, are there several more, I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but are there a lot of other townships that have started this program as well in the state?
Our experience is that there are not a lot of townships.
Because it's not required by law.
Because it's not required by law.
Right.
But we do like to see the momentum. But yes,
You're definitely, somebody said cutting edge, and I think that would apply here.
Great, thank you.
I
Thank you.
have one other question. So you're saying that there aren't any other townships in the county that are doing this too? Do you know?
I actually don't know that.
You don't? Okay. I'm curious. Thanks.
Yeah, well, we're one of the first, let's put it that way.
That's good.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is a obligation that we have to, I mean, it's not required by law, but it is contractual with our labor force, so, you know, we had to do something. So, great, thanks very much, I
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Laura. Thanks, Steve.
Hi, Steve.
See you at the Christmas party.
All right,
I think all of Mr. Weeser's clients will be doing it soon.
yes, yes. All right, land use matters, stormwater management ordinance amendment. I know this is something that we had to do from the DEP, satisfy the DEP requirements. Is that true, Aaron?
That is.
Okay, who wants to take the wheel here?
I'll take it.
Go ahead, Scott.
So, yes, before you have an ordinance, Warminster Township, you have two different parts, two different stormwater management ordinances, one for the Neshaminy Creek, one for the, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. What's the second one? Pennypack, thank you. I don't know why. For some reason, I always forget that, and I drive over it every day. So you have two, it's, the best word we can use, of course, is our favorite words, unfunded mandate. You know, every few years, DEP comes out with new regulations, and we're required by the state and the federal government, because obviously the DEP is, you know, the enforcement and regulatory body for the federal Clean Water Act and our Clean Streams law here in Pennsylvania. So it's just things we have to update every year, or not every year, every couple of years, and they send out a model ordinance. There's like a checklist to go through what you have to see, so we have to certify that our ordinances, you know, meet the minimum requirements. These are those requirements that needed to be added in there. Not a lot, anything anyone has ever thought of that we had. We had a pretty good one to start. It was a lot of just more of the administrative type matters that we had to add in. So those changes are in there, and this is just what we got to do every couple of years.
Okay. I understand, well, is there a motion to adopt the
Motion.
ordinance?
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I know the DEP actually has made contact with the municipal authority, and I'm assuming the township to come here and inspect our stormwater best management practices,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, they
Yeah.
will, on the, based on the, I think the most recent report that the township and/or the authority filed for the MS4 plan.
Yes. Okay.
So the changes that Scott indicated are being driven by what DEP says we have to account for in our ordinance. We are now the joint permittee holder with the Warminster Municipal Authority.
And these regulations aren't, in the stormwater management ordinances, aren't just for our stormwater management purposes. Obviously, that we have private facilities throughout there. It's for them too.
Oh,
So
yes.
most of these are actually about our enforcement and making sure other people are taking care of their stormwater management and their BMPs. So,
Which
yeah,
is something that has to be done anyway. The days of just blocking swales and not taking care of your stormwater responsibilities are over in Warminster Township, obviously. And I know the people at the Philadelphia Water Department, when I was in Drexel doing my master's, there was another gentleman there. I believe he was working on his PhD, and he manages the Pennypack watershed, everything coming into Philadelphia, and he's made some pretty significant changes and requirements to all the townships that outlie Philadelphia that are in that Pennypack watershed, because they're taking in all that stormwater. Any questions or comments from the board? Questions or comments from the public?
I just have one comment. I'm really glad that we're tying up some of these loose ends with our stormwater.
Yeah, well, let's hope the inspection goes well.
Yes, let's hope.
All right, being no questions, let's call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? And the chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. And then we have the 2022-08 Equal Properties LLC, 506 Juniper Street, minor subdivision, final plan review.
Good evening, I'm Ed Chadro with Eastern Chadro Associates. I have Peter Boardman with me tonight with Equal Properties. For the minor subdivision at 506 Juniper, Lot 1 will contain the existing home, which will be 10,500 square feet, and Lot 2 will become a building lot, which will contain 11,700 square feet. The applicant is requesting preliminary final approval tonight with the condition of complying with all the township review letters as may be amended, including the August 2nd, 2022 Township Engineers Letter, August 3rd, 22 Township Zoning Officer Letter, and the July 27th, 2022 Emergency Management Services Director Letter, as discussed and recommended by the Warminster Township Planning Commission. In addition, the applicant is requesting 3 waivers from the SALDO, section 22.523.5.c, in reference to the installation of planted buffers, since this is already a developed area with the same single-family use. Sections 809 pertaining to installation of sidewalks, and section 810, which is the installation of curbing along Juniper Street, which is very typical within the interior streets of the Speedway track. Evergreen already has a concrete curb and sidewalk.
So are there concrete curbs on Juniper Street?
There is an rolled asphalt curb,
Asphalt curb?
yeah,
Okay.
but there's no sidewalks.
Okay.
Evergreen has concrete.
Yes, and concrete sidewalk.
And I would like to point out that the applicant has agreed to complete several right-of-way improvements, including a partial mill and overlay of Juniper, upgrading the curb ramps at Evergreen and Juniper, and installing street trees on both lots.
Okay. So what do we need, a motion? Motion to approve?
Yeah, if the board has no other questions, yeah, you can open.
Is
for
there any other
motions.
questions? Well, don't we have to have a motion first before we have?
For this, you can
All right.
land it almost a little different.
Any other questions?
No.
No?
No? All right, is there a motion to approve?
I make the motion to
Okay.
approve.
I'll second, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any questions or comments from the public? All right, being none, let's call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ed.
And Ed, can we just have your client come up and sign the resolution? John's got it right here. Thank you.
Okay. Public comment.
Hi guys, Pat Boyle, 6310 Centennial Station. I've been getting a lot of calls about Newtown Road, but the potholes that are up by Aldi's are so bad. Actually, the whole way is so bad that if you drive down it straight, you're probably drunk because you have to avoid all the potholes. And the bigger problem to that is the speed. We have people with young kids living on Newtown Road, and you can go to turn into your driveway, and somebody, if you're making a left into your driveway, somebody will pass you when you're left. If you're making a right into your driveway, people go around on the shoulder part and pass you on the right. It has become an incredible speedway, and what can we do about it? I mean, it really has to get addressed.
We will
Ask the chief.
talk to our manager, and which is right here, and then he'll have the chief look into it. See
Yeah,
what we can
it's
do.
getting really,
So
really bad.
the potholes on Newtown, I noticed they had to dig another hole in front of,
Aldi's, yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
again.
I saw
Again.
that, yeah.
I don't know if that's for sewer or water, but I don't know what it's for.
And when they dug up, like in front of the Chase Bank on the Newtown Road side, it was like they put down macadam that wasn't the final macadam.
Oh, it's just the base coat?
Yeah, and it wasn't the final. And then, of course, there's all the rain and the cars and all that kind of stuff. It's just peeling up. And my one friend said, you know, she hits that one pothole every single time she makes the turn. And it's just becoming
All right.
really aggravating.
We'll definitely look into it. Aaron, was there supposed to be improvements on Newtown Road when that development was done?
There is no mill and overlay. There was a sinkhole at the corner of Newtown and Street Road. Although that's the traffic engineer and PennDOT's jurisdiction, we did reach out to them and ask them to fix that hole. I believe PennDOT has issued their punch list, and we also have an outstanding punch list.
Okay.
So it is still,
I
it's still
think Ms.
ongoing.
Boyle's also referring to, because I know you're right, even going from
just
Craven
looking-
Hall all the way past the magistrate's
Right.
office.
Right, yeah.
I mean, perhaps we could have Public Works, but I know we're still in repair mode right now.
Yeah.
Before the season changes, to go out and see what we can
Take
do.
a
Yeah,
look
we'll
at it.
have,
My
I
fear
mean, if
is
there's a
that,
lot of
too-
potholes that we're
There is.
responsible for, then we'll have,
Yes.
yeah, we'll get
My
our
fear
Public
is
Works to
too,
do
if you
that.
get rid of all the potholes, they'll go faster.
All right.
You
But
know?
not just the land development, and further down, there's
Yes.
Yeah.
there's a lot of.
Right.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
But I know Newtown's one of the streets that the police has taken notice to because of the higher traffic area.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
they are watchful.
Yeah,
Yes.
there are some streets that that are police departments
Thank you.
actually pay more attention to than others, and I believe Newtown might be one of them.
I
tell
did bring it
anybody.
up to staff.
Yeah, don't tell
Don't tell
me.
me. Thank you.
Yeah. But, yeah, the potholes, Pat, let us know if, because we'll get Public Works out there. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, let's move along. Consent agenda. All right, consider approval of the Board of Supervisors minutes dated August 11th, 2022, Consider approval of payment number 4 to NJS Concrete for 2022 curb ramp installation in the amount of $51,772, and that's the retainage. Authorization to advertise a request for proposal for the snow plowing removal services, and recommendation to award Morton Salt 2022 to 2023 Consortium Rock Salt contract. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the,
I'm sorry. I just want to clear up. I had that put on there, the retainage. The amount to be released is actually $120,228.05.
Oh,
That we're going to be left with the $51,772.
Oh, I see.
I
got
have to
it.
deal with punch list items and
Right.
Okay.
grass that won't grow and whatnot.
Yeah, I heard there was some grass that was,
Yeah.
that we're struggling with, and obviously, we haven't had much rain in the last 2 months.
Erin told me earlier she's ready to address that tonight with the board in public.
Okay.
What, to give us rain?
Want to do a rain dance?
Jinx.
I heard they planted weeds there, was the concern I got from a
The
resident.
weeds, yeah, they planted weeds.
Yeah.
Yeah, they planted
The
weeds
weeds are
instead
the
of
only
grass.
thing that grows when it's 98 degrees
I
and
know,
there's no
That's
rain.
true. That's true.
And we don't, the issue, the letting of the payment tonight on the agenda does not let the NJS, who we've spent a lot of money on, off the hook for finishing those things.
Yes,
Right.
The punch list items.
yes, and that's what the $51,772 in retainage is for.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's a good
Thank
use.
you.
Okay. Any questions or comments? Questions or comments from the public? All right, being none, let's call the question. All in favor?
I think we didn't get a second on the motion. Janice?
Oh, I'm sorry.
second.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I just can't believe we're talking about snow removal already.
Yeah, well, we have to, because
know.
it'll be here before you know it. We won't have anybody,
Yep.
you know, we'll be depending on our public works for everything.
Oh.
And that's a big strain on those guys. Although they do the best job,
They do.
I have to
They
say.
do.
All right, let's call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye, motion carries 5-0. All right, finance report. Mr. McKee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to make a motion. I'll ask for a second to adopt the bill list. Approve the bill list for August 18, 2022, in the amount of $1,029,216.68. The supplemental bill list dated August 31st, 2022, in the amount of $975,521.82, with a total of $2,004,738.50.
Wow.
I'll second that. Okay. Any questions, comments? From the public? No? Let's call the question. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-0.
Mr. Hayes gets in the minutes.
Yes. For once. All right, there's no unfinished business. Doesn't look like there's any new business tonight. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa, whoa,
forgot
whoa,
the Ramey
whoa,
show. We forgot the
I
Ramey
walked right
show.
by you. Come on up here, John. We were done with numbers earlier.
He's
I
got
know.
his tab all ready for us.
I know.
He made dinner tonight.
He did. And you know what? How disrespectful. My apologies, John.
Great dinner, by the way.
Oh, thanks. So everything's still looking good. You should have a tab that takes you to the summary that I'm reading off of. So revenues are up $693,000 on the year, or 6%. What's leading to that is transfer tax is still up. It's not as up as much as it was last month. Last month was at $127,000. This year, or this month, is at $77,000. So I think that's starting to taper off and level out. Earned income tax revenue, it's still up 12%. It's $355,000. We did have a Bucks County tax collectors meeting last week. That's exactly where the county's at, 11.8%. So we are following what the county's doing. Again, a lot of it is delinquents, and what Keystone actually described it as, there's a doubling effect because they're collecting all the delinquents, but once someone gets caught up, they stay caught up. So we're not expecting a big dip. It's going to just stay where it is and level off, which is great news.
Good.
Since Bobby's not here, I'll talk about real estate taxes. At the end of August, there was $122,000 outstanding out of the $8.2 million. So she's doing really great. There's less than 1.5% outstanding. About 160 properties. She did say that final delinquent letters will be going out. So that usually drives a bunch of people in to get them paid off as fast as possible. On the expense side, expenses are up 4%, about 298,000. The good news is, even though they're up, we're only at 46% of budget, where through the end of July, we would be at 58.33, so we're well below of an even year. The only other thing I was going to talk about is the debt fund real quick. In July, we did make the second payment on the issue from 2021. It was $616,000 in principal. Of that, 384 came from the GOF fund because it was refinancing some of the improvements that went there, and 232 was coming from the debt service fund that we do collect taxes from. Again, I know I talked about the budget. When we did the budget last year, at the end of last year, we transferred in $1.5 million to the debt fund. And with the current millage, when we kind of traced it out, there should not be an increase in taxes for any kind of debt service the way it is right now. I do know that there was some, let me get to Mark's point before you can ask it. There was some talk before about taking, once we get some of the grant money in for the parks projects, and using that to pay off some of the debt. This debt is so cheap, it's 1.45%.
Right.
Not knowing what's gonna happen in the future, it's kind of, I mean, it's gonna be up to you guys.
Yeah.
We can always run the numbers and present it. It's kind of, if we would have to borrow with the way interest rates are rising right now, it kind of wouldn't make much sense to do that. But when the time comes when we get the money in, we'll definitely present it to everyone, see how you guys wanna roll forward.
Right. Yeah,
That's great.
I don't, when you have when your debt is incredibly low interest rates,
Doesn't make sense to pay
it
it
doesn't
off.
make sense.
Yeah.
And I do just as since we are talking about debt.
And you can offset that. If we leave that money in the debt service, we can offset that
And we are
liability.
well below our borrowing
Correct.
max. A good way of looking at why debt is good for municipalities is, you guys live in the township right now. We borrowed money, you're paying that debt off for that road that just got repaved.
Right.
As opposed to telling a resident, hey, we don't have any debt, but we're saving up to repave a road, and then they move out, we're using their money to repave the road for the person that moved in.
Right.
So that's usually like the easy way of explaining why that is important for municipalities.
Because the current residents are seeing the benefit of that.
Yep, they're seeing the
Correct.
benefit, and they're paying for the current asset that's on the
Correct.
books.
Plus, if we have assets that offset the liability, our bond rating looks better.
Yep, and we do capitalize all these projects too. The
That's right.
Parks project, right now it's in construction in progress, but eventually that will be capitalized and depreciated
Mm-hmm.
on the government-wide financial statements.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
So we're still behaving like responsible supervisors, where our revenues are up and our expenses are down.
Yeah, compared to
Excellent.
this time last year, we're still 396,000 above, and better than we were last year. And last
Good.
year was a good year, so.
Right.
But I do
This
want
is a
to
good
point
trend.
out, because you did this already, but I want to point out to those listening and those in the audience here, that transfer tax, we have to be mindful of that, not thinking that it's going to be there forever, because it's not going to be there. It's going to level off and start to decline. So we have to plan for that. And you know that, John,
Oh,
as
yeah.
well as I
We're
do.
almost double
I'm just saying that
budget
for the
right
benefit
now.
of the people that are
And,
watching.
Yeah, we can't, transfer tax is one of the hardest things to budget for, so
Right.
anytime it's above, it's great.
Yeah.
The last thing you want to do is be caught over budgeting, so.
Right, depending on it is,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you.
I-
Any questions? Any other
Thanks,
questions?
John.
Janice,
You know, I appreciate the fact that you break it down into layman's terms so, people that are not financial wizards can understand it. And I'm sure the residents of the township appreciate that as well. Thank you.
Oh, great.
Thank you,
Aw,
John.
that's so nice, Jen. And you do a great job, too. Thank you.
Plus he cooks.
He
Yeah.
cooks, too.
Amazingly well.
All right, Jen. You have yours. All right. Now we have no unfinished business or new business. So we go right to you, Tom. What do you have for us?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I just want to go over briefly a couple things that I think are going to be on agendas before the end of the year. They all concern projects that we've been discussing internally with the Infrastructure Committee, and which was established to help advise the Board of Supervisors on how we should invest in projects, long-term project improvements with our American Recovery Act ARPA money, excuse me, I forgot the name of the bill. So, in addition to other things that are still in process, we think we're getting near a point where we'll be here in public recommending the installation of the cover at the sail cover, sun protection cover at Safety Town in Warminster Community Park, a project which is being actually mostly funded through the kindness of the Cowie Family ShopRite and the donations they collected earlier this year. This will provide a shade over a portion of the Safety Town to help keep the sun off the kids that are playing there. We think some of the work, we're going to have to purchase the sail. We have quotes. We have received quotes, and we think Public Works will be able to do the actual work of the install and at the park. So that, I'm anticipating that's going to be on the next agenda.
Okay.
Werner and Monroe Park Electric, we've been talking about this on and off for a while now. We've got with the help of Gilmore and Associates, we have an understanding, we think, of what it's going to cost to not just fix the electrical problems at the park, but also to improve the lighting at the park. Most of it is concerning for Werner and some of it from Monroe. And so I'm hoping that we can have that in October or November with a quote and a way forward for the Board of Supervisors to approve. Excuse me. And then finally, security cameras. We have been looking into identifying our facilities throughout the township that need security cameras and putting everything on the same system. So Five Ponds, the library, the Ben Wilson Center, this building, the park, all on one system that is with a cloud-based and wireless that will help us if we need to provide a tool for the police department to use to catch vandals or lawbreakers, and we think it'll help with our insurance as well. We're getting close to getting numbers. What we're going to do with that is put something on probably pen bid that says we are looking for somebody to design and install a certain level of security camera protection for us. Your quotes and bids are welcome. So that's really all I wanted to go over with you. We have other projects that we're working on. Bathroom at the library. It's going to be a little bigger than I thought it was, but I hope we'll have some information on that at our next meeting. That's all I have. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Yeah, I think that ARPA money is really coming in. It's invaluable right now because these are definitely projects that the Ben Wilson Center, heating and air conditioning and backup generator, and the Werner Park and Monroe Park, light improvements and all this stuff. It's really projects that we would have never tackled.
And I think part of the camera system is going to be over at the park too. I understand there was some real vandalism over at the basketball bumper courts last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was at the park board meeting the other night. Sheriff's brought up there was some real vandalism.
There was damage, yeah.
What a
So
shame.
I'm
So
hoping that
pretty.
the cameras will cut down on that.
Right.
Yeah, we have a satellite station over there, don't we? Chief? We have a satellite station over at the park yet? Has it?
I staffed the satellite station.
I'm working on it. We're working on it.
Duly noted.
I think John Ramey's going to turn it into a barbecue joint.
Right,
Oh.
okay. All right, Solicitors Report. Mr. Holbert?
Yeah, I am glad to say I have nothing to report. It's good to see everyone. And I will say, though, from a personal standpoint, for the third year, my daughter's team played in the Alperlini tournament this year.
All right.
We didn't win this year, but they had a good time. We had about 5 or 6 new girls, so they're just learning, getting back in things, but it's always a good time. So.
Yeah.
Good. Excellent.
Enjoy it while they're young.
Yep.
Yep.
Aaron, speaking of having young children.
Yes. I don't have anything in addition to our engineer's report, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay.
Thank
Just,
you.
we're moving forward with the the that stormwater basin over in the industrial park?
Yes, we are.
Street Road. That's
Yeah,
where-
I mean, I'm looking at it right now.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We've completed the survey and we're working on the analysis. So hopefully we'll have something in the next couple weeks.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Preliminary.
And Aaron, welcome
Sure.
to the panel tonight, too. I know you're sitting in for Mr. Kenner. We like you a lot better than him anyway,
Yeah.
but don't
Yeah.
tell him we said so.
Well, you're prettier, you're prettier.
She's definitely prettier, yeah.
He's,
And you're a smart cookie.
and he's not listening either, so we're good.
He might be. He likes to check in.
Okay. Thanks, Aaron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Let's see now. Township manager announcements.
I don't have any announcements, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board, except we may have an additional YouTube viewer tonight. Assistant Manager Lisa Howdy-Shell is on vacation in the western part of the United States, but she may just right now be watching us on YouTube. So,
Ah.
Hello, Lisa.
Hello, Lisa.
thank
yeah.
you very much. I think,
Should we,
I don't think we're going to need to.
we're not going to have any business in the next week, 4 days, 5 days. Should we cancel the next?
No objection.
Any objections?
None at all.
Okay, no objection here either.
So our next meeting will be?
October 6th? Yeah. Yes, October 6th.
Got it.
We're back on the normal 3 weeks in between then.
Yep.
Yes.
That's the normal one, so.
Yes. And I'm assuming we're, I see you decided to remove the casual.
It's after Labor Day.
Well, I figured we'd have one more.
Ah,
One more.
took
I
for
forgot to
granted.
mention
I
that
took
to you.
for granted.
My apologies. I'll be joining you next month.
Right.
All right. I hope everyone had a great Labor Day. I hope everyone's safe and took care of themselves. And as I said earlier, school's out or school's in, and please obey the laws regarding motor vehicles and school buses. I can't stress that enough. If you don't know what they are, I'm sure you can go to PennDOT and familiarize yourself with them, because it's very important. Children don't pay attention. They're little kids. They run off of school buses. They're playing, and you're the adult. You need to have control of your vehicle. So I can't stress that enough. And
That's right.
I'll turn it over to Kathy.
Public comments? Public comments?
Oh, did I miss that? I did. I checked it off already.
Wow.
John, do you have anything
John.
to say?
Keep quiet tonight,
I did? I don't remember saying that, John. Anyone else? Okay, I'm sorry. Sorry I jumped the gun. So I said what I had to say, and we'll pass it on to Kathy now.
Everyone out there, have the rest safe of the rest of the summer, what's left of it. And again, I'd like to bring up Oktoberfest at Erskiberg. This will be 85 years that they're having this, and I've been a member for 27. It's a great time. Go with your family. It's cheap. The food's great. Have a good time. That's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right, Kathy, Mark?
And I'm a ditto on that, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Judy?
Oh, I just want one more time for Kathy to pronounce the name of that place, you know?
She does it
German
so
club.
well.
Erskiberg.
Hey.
Erskiberg.
My husband speaks German.
Okay, I just wanted to hear it one more time there. But everybody have a nice rest of September, and we'll see you next month.
All right, Janice?
Okay, it's football season. It's so exciting. So go home and enjoy the game, those of you. And don't forget to go out to William Tennant and watch some good football and great cheerleaders. I have to say the cheerleaders have been amazing this year, and the band playing in the stands. So go out and support your local high school.
Yes, excellent. Thank you, Janice. All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion.
Okay, thank you.
Give you that bag.
I just gotta go talk to the